Japan stands as one of the few developed nations that continues to implement capital punishment. Its unique approach to the death penalty has long drawn significant international scrutiny. Recent discussions have focused on an alleged method designed to minimize prisoner stress. This method involves specific procedures surrounding the notification and execution of death row inmates. It raises profound questions about human rights, transparency, and the very nature of justice. We delve into the details of this controversial practice. Japan's legal system maintains capital punishment for severe crimes, primarily murder with aggravating circumstances. Executions are carried out by hanging, a method that has remained unchanged for decades. The nation's crime rate is notably low, yet public support for the death penalty remains high. This strong public sentiment often influences political decisions regarding capital punishment. Despite international pressure, Japan has consistently defended its right to retain the death penalty. It views it as a necessary deterrent and a just punishment for heinous acts. A key aspect of Japan's death penalty system is the alleged practice of minimizing prisoner stress. This is reportedly achieved by providing extremely short notice of execution. Inmates are often informed only hours before their sentence is carried out. Sometimes, notification occurs just minutes before the execution. This lack of prior warning is intended to prevent prolonged psychological suffering. It aims to spare inmates the agony of anticipating their death for days or weeks. This approach also means that inmates typically do not have time for final appeals or last visits from family. The swiftness of the process is central to the purported stress reduction strategy. It is a stark contrast to practices in many other nations. Proponents of this method argue it is a humane way to conduct executions. They believe it prevents the intense mental anguish associated with a prolonged wait. The suddenness is seen as a way to ensure a more peaceful end for the condemned. However, this practice faces severe criticism from human rights organizations worldwide. Critics argue that denying inmates adequate notice is a violation of fundamental human rights. It prevents them from preparing mentally or spiritually for their death. Furthermore, it denies them the opportunity to say goodbye to loved ones. This lack of transparency and due process is a major point of contention. It raises serious ethical questions about the state's power over an individual's final moments. The Japanese government maintains a high level of secrecy around executions. Details about the timing, number, and even the identities of those executed are often withheld. This lack of transparency fuels international criticism. Human rights groups consistently call for greater openness and accountability. They argue that the secrecy surrounding executions exacerbates the human rights concerns. It makes independent oversight and scrutiny nearly impossible. The United Nations and various international bodies have repeatedly urged Japan to abolish the death penalty. They also specifically condemn the practice of short-notice executions. These calls highlight a significant divergence in legal and ethical perspectives. Japan's unique execution method adds another layer to the global debate on capital punishment. It forces a discussion not just on whether the death penalty should exist, but how it is administered. The focus shifts to the humanity of the process itself. This approach challenges conventional notions of due process and prisoner rights. It underscores the complex interplay between national sovereignty, cultural norms, and universal human rights standards. The debate remains deeply polarized. The alleged practice of minimizing prisoner stress in Japan's death penalty system is highly contentious. While proponents cite humane intentions, critics decry the lack of transparency and human rights implications. It represents a profound ethical dilemma. As Japan continues to uphold capital punishment, the international community will likely maintain its scrutiny. The discussion around these unique execution methods will undoubtedly persist. It highlights the ongoing global struggle for justice and human dignity.